Hello everybody and welcome back to the Dragon's Library. So today I am reviewing The Battle of Medicine Rocks, the second book in the Crystal Calamity series by one of my favorite authors, Rachel Aaron. Now the book is a sequel to 2022's The Last Stand of Mary Goodcrow. This series is a historical fantasy set in an alternate 1876 in Montana. In this timeline, the small town of Medicine Rocks is the source of a magical crystal whose power and rarity make it more valuable than gold. As a result, it sets off a new type of gold rush, as everyone seeks to claim as much of the resource as they can. This is not easy, however, as the crystal caves are full of angry ghosts and horrible terrors, and the always on alert Lakota seek to take back the land the US has unlawfully stolen from them. At the end of the previous book, Mary and Josie were betrayed by their partner and friend Tyrell, who was possessed by the ghost of her necromantic father. Mary called on the power of the crystals to save them and the Motherlode. As a result, the trio starts the book separated, each trying to prevent the increasingly desperate situation at Medicine Rocks. Mary finds herself among the Lakota, learning more about her unique connection to the crystals and the Song of Calamity. Josie, meanwhile, must deal with the desperate townsfolk, who are unable to ship out crystal and becoming increasingly affected with strange mutations and infighting as a result. And lastly, Tyrell finds herself a prisoner in her own body, unable to stop her wicked father from continuing his unnatural experiments. While each of them struggles with these issues, tensions between the Lakota and the US forces grow ever more strained, and a battle for the control of Medicine Rocks now seems inevitable. So the new year brings another book by Rachel Aaron. Like many of her previous works, The Battle of Medicine Rocks takes a somewhat grounded setting and infuses it with magic and intrigue. The first book in the Crystal Calamity series was an excellent example of historical fantasy with an intriguing premise. Infusing the historical American gold rush with a magical resource, it created a series of disturbing tunnels where any man could find their fortune. Rachel Aaron also gave us another example of her talent for writing compelling groups of characters with good chemistry. Mary, Josie, and Tyrell all have interesting backstories and play off one another in an entertaining manner. Now, before I go any further, a brief content warning. This is a historical fantasy book set in the mid-1800s. As such, there are examples of racist language appropriate for the time period. It is not the main focus of the book. However, one of the main characters is half Lakota, so it is a minor theme. As such, all potential readers should go in with mind. I've warned you, so if you read this book and you go all, that's why, okay? It's not like really that bad. It's not anywhere near as bad as the racism in, say, Ordinary Monsters, but it is there. So, how does this book hold up in comparison to the first? Unfortunately, not so great. While the tension from the battle, with each chapter slowly counting down to the inevitable conflict, is actually a pretty compelling premise, I found the book a little dull at times, and the structure makes it unable to play off Rachel Aaron's strengths. Unlike the first book, which used the mystery of the crystals and its phenomena to give the story a Lovecraftian kind of horror, this sequel explains the magic in a way that demystifies a lot of it. The Lakotas control the crystal, and the way the song's spirits are given sentient voices somewhat detracts from the original Lovecraftian horror gods thing we had going on, especially at the end. In addition, the main trio is separated for the entire book to the point where the only chapter they are together is the very last one. This means that the main group is unable to play off each other well, which is one of Rachel Aaron's, big old strengths, especially with her original series that I read for her, the Heartstricker series with that duo. Since the book is divided among three perspectives, I'll give you a brief overview of each perspective. I'll start with Josie, since I think it is the strongest narrative. Josie starts the book back in town, still in debt and desperate to search for Mary and Tyrell. With the increasing military tension, threat of bandits, the town is going overly saturated in crystal, leading to horrible mutations in the air of madness. These scenes come the closest to the treasure hunt meets Lovecraftian horror of the first book, and I really enjoy these sections in particular, especially with Josie having to deal with debt collectors, crooked sheriffs, the town guard, and also wanting to get back into the caves to rescue her friends. Next up, we have Mary, who meets her half-sister and spends time along the Lakota, who have joined forces with the mysterious bear woman from the first book. Mary's rejection and connection to both sides of the conflict helped to give the situation a lot of nuance. That was nice, but I was a little disappointed, as I said before, with the way the magic system was explained and felt it could have been handled better. Finally, we have Tyrell. This is definitely the weakest section of the book. She spends basically the entire book trapped in her own body, as her father's ghost possesses her to do necromancer stuff. I thought it was fine, but Tyrell doesn't really do anything on her own until the last 4 or 5 chapters, and even then it's mostly just kicking her father out of her body. And I thought she was rather wasted, even if her father was a pretty entertaining villain, she didn't really do much other than like watch him and give us exposition. The setting of Medicine Rocks is definitely pretty intriguing, as I said before, and I like how Josie got a crystal infusion so she could play with a more active role in physical conflicts. Not to downplay her role as the political and social side, who's like kind of the business front for the group. I also like that the ability had a physical and psychological cost that made it feel earned instead of just like a free power-up. In addition, the historical aspects are well done. Both Lakota and the army, led by General Cook, are portrayed in a believable manner, neither demonized nor glorified. Even Cook, the story's quote-unquote good leader, is shown in a morally gray manner, with him reluctantly sacrificing hundreds of men in a suicide mission to try and win the battle. He didn't want to do it, but he was perfectly willing to do it, and I don't think he's going to lose too much sleep over it. In conclusion, the Battle of Medicine Rocks is a decently well-written piece of historical fantasy. I think a lot of the ideas, especially the core concepts, are pretty cool. The characters are nice and have a good chemistry when they're together. However, I thought the execution could be a little dull. I think the explanations could have been done better in a way that didn't demystify the magic so much. The story really did strip away a lot of the mystery in a lot of it. Like, we understand how things work, and that means it's a little harder to be scared of them. The horror I loved in the first book is still there in times, especially with the crystal mutations and Josie's story, but it's diminished. Still, Rachel Aaron is a pretty good writer, and I did have a fun time by the end. So I'll give Battle of Medicine Rocks a 7 out of 10, and I will be on the lookout for book 3. So, yeah. So with all that out of the way, we're moving on to the announcements. I am still working on my book review for The Dragon's Promise. I've still got to finish reading that. About midway through right now. And I did not get to see Renfield this past weekend. I was a little busy. I just started a role-playing session with a friend, so that actually took up a lot more time than I expected it to. And as a result, I'm not really sure what's going to be up for review next. I'm probably going to see if I can see Shazam or Scream, if those have come out to a streaming service yet. If Scream is available to stream, I will probably do Scream over Shazam. And in addition to that, we will also have another movie coming up for review, not this week, but next week. It's coming out this week, but I can't go see it because I'm on call. And that is the new Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's going to be fun. Finally, as another review for this week, it'll be either Scream 6 or this, or both, if I can get both the reviews out. I'm also going to be reviewing Dredge, which is this new adventure fishing Lovecraftian horror game that I played. I streamed it a little while back. It was a lot of fun, so I do want to talk about it. And, yeah, that's basically it. So with all that out of the way, let's move on to the end card. Behold the subscribe orb. Click on it. Go to my channel. Subscribe. Seriously, it means a lot. We also have a YouTube recommended video up here and a playlist of all the reviews I've done this year. Check both those out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.